welcome to the High Energetic Podcast with Dad and Son.
What language was that?
That was English.
I think we did a little better with the Google Translate than usual this week.
Yeah, right?
That was like
it
the perfect
almost sounded
intonation.
like it was English, right?
Yeah,
but
like a native speaker. Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty good, right? Oh,
Yeah,
I should have done
I'm impressed.
How are you guys doing? We got Robot Liam,
Yeah.
Robot Matt, and then we have just Crazy George over there with his crappy internet.
Crazy Uncle George is
hearing
yelling at
robots.
clouds, waving his fist at the kids sneaking on his lawn.
Yeah. How's that internet, George? How's that going?
So I think I need to fill everyone in on how bad my world is. A very long time ago on Twitter, I posted a message when I got a Comcast bill earlier last month that had my name spelled as George Weedmon. And for some reason, ever since then, my internet has been crap. And I noticed that we got some comments last week talking about how, like, quiet me and Matt are. And, I mean, for clarification, it's 9 a.m. in the morning here in the States where we're recording this. It's like either 10 or 11 in Japan, depending on the daylight savings time when Liam is recording this.
Yeah, so I explained in the comments that, like, it's pretty early for you guys when we record. And for me, I'm like, I've been up for fucking 13 hours at this point. I am wired as hell. So everyone's like, why is Liam so energetic and the other guys are, like, sleeping? Well,
Yeah.
I
Because
just
got
don't
like
shut up
13
anyway.
hours of waking time, and we got like 30 minutes.
I've had, like, 6 cups of coffee by this point as well.
So,
Wow.
in addition to like guzzling down,
I know.
as
I know. Japan
guzzling
is, like,
down all
not
of our
helping.
like crappy, bitter convenience store coffee instead of the
Shut up.
heated out of a vending machine in front of
Don't
your house
you-
Japan coffee.
Don't you diss
Nice and
canned
warm.
coffee, especially iced coffee in Japan. Iced canned coffee is like the glorious nectar.
Has
It's God's nectar.
has cold brew caught on over there?
Yeah, actually, it has. Their Starbucks
Nice.
in Japan are all offering nitro cold brew. Now.
Starbucks. I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing a Starbucks over there. I guess I was
So-
in Tokyo, but
Are
I
you shitting me? Are you
I didn't
crazy?
see it. Did you see it, George? I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, I went to the Starbucks to get a good viewing angle of the Shibuya Scramble last
Like,
time.
I would be surprised at the numbers if they didn't say, like, Starbucks is... There's as many Starbucks as fucking convenies over here. It's getting crazy at this point. A new one just opened up in my city, and we already have 6 of them. I'm not
In
even
all my
kidding.
travels,
God.
I've seen a lot more 7-Elevens and Starbuckses elsewhere in the world than I have in many parts of many American cities. Like
Yeah.
7-Eleven especially. 7-Eleven has like grew out of its American branding into a more international
Yeah,
thing.
it's weird because I associate 7-Eleven easily. Obviously, I'm from the UK, but I associate it easily with Japan. Like, I don't even know what 7-Elevens are like in America.
You barely see them in the state. Well, that's barely. You sometimes see them on the side of the highway in the States.
What
Meanwhile, in
exactly
other
does-
countries, they're like the convenience store everywhere. They're like the... I mean, not the Kroger, but in like international big cities where they won't have as big grocery stores. That'll be like how they fill the gap.
I saw a poll going around on the sort of the Japanese foreigner Twitter thing of, like, ranking all the konbinis, and so many people were wrong. So many wrong answers.
I was reading a article yesterday about how offended one of the diplomats of Japan were when they went on a visit to Israel and got served a dessert out of a shoe-shaped dish. I'm gonna
think-
shoe-shaped
I think-
Israel, Japan.
I think I saw this, and then I was thinking, people really, for some reason, think Japanese people hate shoes. I mean, I take my shoes off when I go into the house as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why people think just because Japanese people have, like, an area in which you take off shoes, it's like, for some reason, that showing them a shoe is, like, the biggest insult in the world.
there were a lot of comments about the mysticism and the severity of the cultural taboo that shoes project as an aura, when it's really, they're just like, they track dirt all over everyone's carpet, and no one wants to deal with that shit. No one wants to eat food out of a shoe.
To be fair, no one wants to eat food out of a shoe, whether you're Japanese or Israeli. It's like...
Oh, also, well, I think the idea was that it was some kind of like traditional or cultural commentary on the dish, but I'm looking at it right now, and I was expecting more of a shoe-shaped dish.
It's actually a
more
shoe.
of what looks like an actual shoe. Yeah.
Oh, what is this? It's like someone took off their shoe and put food in it.
It literally
I'm
looks like
surprised
someone...
by how that's what it looks like. I thought it was going to be like a Monopoly shoe, like a piece of pewter or plate.
If you're listening to this, go to the show notes where George is inevitably going to put a link. It looks like someone has been out on a night out. They've got dressed up to go to someone's party or something, and they've gone to a nightclub. They've had a real good night, and then they've just vomited all over their shoes. They've lost control.
Yeah, like
they've
the
had too much to
sparkles on
drink.
the side.
And
that's
they've
definitely
just
like vomit.
they've taken their shoes off when they got home, and they've just like vomited over themselves, vomited all over the shoes.
Oh my god, that's gross.
And then they put like 2 ice cream scoops and a couple huge almonds.
I feel bad for any
huge
Israeli
almonds.
listeners who this is their traditional dish. I don't mean to cause offense, but it does look like someone vomited in a shoe.
So it was a formal dinner to mark the visit of Shinzo Abe, a renowned Israeli culinary expert named Segev Mosh, who is the private chef to Netanyahu. I believe his title is Prime Minister. Yeah, Prime Minister of Israel.
He's that guy who keeps causing trouble.
He created a dish for the diplomatic dinners. They rolled out a special dessert. Okay, we got a selection of chocolates. That's what those are. They're a selection of chocolates.
Wait, they're chocolates?
Okay.
What the hell?
They're a selection of chocolates served in dark metal shoes. So that's not leather, that's dark metal. So even though they do look like real shoes, that actually is a metal dish meant to look like shoes. Designed by the upscale Tom Dixon Studio, a British products and interiors company. Segev, who is also chef for Israeli airline El Al, uploaded an Instagram of himself with the Netanyahus and their guests, along with the 4 shoe-shaped desserts. But his post received some negative responses. I cannot believe that you have put shoes on the table for the Prime Minister of Japan. Really transcends parody. Congratulations, says another commenter, but never ever serve anything to the Japanese in a shoe. I think that you did not mean any offense, right? But a bit of homework on people's culture will not hurt. I don't know if, okay, to a lot of Americans, it's a thing when you go to Japan and everyone wants to take their shoes off. But what I'm steadily hearing throughout life is that that's becoming a thing generally about everywhere where people like to keep their interiors clean.
In Japan,
and it's not
just
so
a
much just a Japanese thing.
It's a respectful thing to do. You usually have shoes for outside, which is your normal shoes, and then you have indoor shoes, or you just wear socks. Like if you go to a school, you wear your outdoor shoes, and then inside you will see, teachers
Slippers.
wearing
Sometimes
trainers,
they got slippers,
which is specifically for inside. Like it's like partially to keep it clean.
It's not like
also
shoes are taboo.
It's the separation between being outside and being inside. Like
they have separate shoes for inside, separate shoes for outside, but they're all the same shoe. It's one could say that despite the separation and exclusion of these systems, they are providing equal services to the participants of the systems. Yes.
They are true. That is true. Well, here on Dad and Sons, you can get all of your worldly news and political
Matt,
topics.
how do you feel about this different but the same system that the shoes of the world are oftentimes discriminated by?
Wow, that's a loaded question there. I don't want to offend any people. No. About the serving it to the Japan guy. To the Japan guy.
Japan
The Japan
feel like
guy.
There's a lot of like when I look back on like my Japan trip and how like I made the videos and stuff, like I can see like everything was new, like everything was just like, oh my god this, oh my god that, and then when you realize it, you're like, you know, they're different, but they're not like that different. Like I feel like the shoe thing was like something that we did here. It's just kind of like something that they do all the time. It's regular. Like what we have here. I don't know, like a perfect example that
there
would be.
There is stuff in
but
Japan
they act like we act like they're like some special like unique beings that, you know, like oh my god, Japan people, you have to be respectful and blah blah blah, and I don't know, like obviously you have to be respectful.
It's weird because in Japan you're not really subjugated to the same sort of pass. Like Japanese people don't suddenly stop doing what they do just because the foreigners don't do it in their country. It's weird. It's like, oh, we should be super respectful to the Japanese. You don't serve them food in a shoe. It's like, but the Japanese don't give a shit if you like and you have to eat like a whale's heart or something, or a fucking turtle's brain or something, and it's like, if you refuse, then you're being disrespectful to them when they're not also necessarily giving a shit whether you eat that kind of stuff in your culture. There are lots of like toing and froing between what is appropriate and what is disrespectful, I think, between both societies.
Doesn't this also just seem extra strange with the knowledge that Japanese food customers love wacky presentation?
Yeah, I imagine there's a cafe somewhere in Japan that serves shit in a shoe. Like,
there's a lot of grosser looking stuff you can buy at like popular mainstream Japanese restaurants, like the brain cake at the Capcom Cafe. And
there's wacky stuff everywhere in Japan. Like I said, there is probably almost with 100% certainty somewhere that is like a cafe that serves food in a shoe.
And I don't know if much of this offense comes from Shinzo Abe and the other diplomatic party themselves so much as people commenting on the images of the shoe dessert.
I don't think Shinzo Abe
Let's see if there's any Abe quotes from it.
I don't think Shinzo Abe has had a day of fun in his life, so I imagine eating what looks to be vomit out of a shoe isn't exactly, even if he was offended by it, it wasn't like his number one thing to do anyway.
I got a good picture of this occasion, a better one. I originally posted a link to a news article, but there's one on Instagram of the whole happy family sitting at the table, and Abe, and they just look kind of awkward. Their faces are like a little wincy. They're struggling to smile for the camera.
Tanyu isn't even looking right. He looks intently at the shoe. He's like, I can't wait to get in on some of that vomit.
It's chocolate. It's chocolate dusted with like cinnamon or something. I don't know.
Oh well. Anyway, speaking of Japanese culture and things about Japan.
Oh.
Quick segue.
When do we never speak about that?
Yeah. Although this week I haven't been playing games as much because I've been working on my own game. My own little demo thing, which will be out this week, by the way, so if you're interested, download that.
Congratulations, you know more about video games than us.
Yeah, I made one whole more video game than you two.
I made a video game. It was very, very short. Back in college.
Matt, why you gotta go there? Why you gotta go there, Matt? Why you gotta do this?
I definitely use some like Chrono Trigger music and everything. I got an A, man. That's all that matters. Go ahead, Leon.
I've been watching while I was doing sort of like work this week on it. I've been watching Aggretsuko, which is that new Netflix Sanrio show that everyone is talking about on Twitter. I don't know if either of you have watched it. Matt, did you check it out?
Yeah, I know what it is, but I haven't watched it.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Aggretsuko is like this brand new, I guess we have to call it an anime, although it isn't really. It has sort of like cel-shaded 3D-esque visuals to it. It is from Japan, so it is in a sense an anime. But what it's about a character called Aggretsuko, who is like this red panda, which I found out when I went to a zoo recently. Japanese people call lesser pandas. Like, what's wrong with the red panda? What is so lesser about the red panda?
Well, I'm wondering, like, how exactly are red pandas related to, like, big giant white pandas? Because they look like extremely different animals to me. I never understood why they get the honor of the panda title. Maybe
because they're so small, Japan's just like, you are pathetic. You are a lesser panda. Look at those giant black and white ones. You puny red thing. You're lesser than them.
That's so mean. They should call them great raccoons instead of lesser pandas.
Greater
raccoons.
Bears. But so Aggretsuko is this red panda, and she is like one of Sanrio's new characters, and she is like a typical Japanese office worker. And the plot of the anime is it's about her life.
And OL.
Yeah, and it's about her life working in the accounting department for a company in Japan, and how fucking miserable it is. Just how so many problems there are with Japanese working society here, especially office workers like salarymen and salarywomen. But Aggretsuko's sort of way of dealing with it is she's cute and innocent, and she's rather responsible, and she lets people walk all over her.
That's very Japanese.
Very Japanese. But her way of getting it out is at the end of the day, she goes to the karaoke bar or karaoke booths by herself, and she sings death metal. She sings death metal. She screams the same song every time, but she changes the lyrics to deal with what was happening that day. Where, she'll sing about her bosses or co-workers or stuff like this, and she will just scream and rage.
Does she sing horrifically violent acts like...
The animation.
I really hate my boss. He's a big poo-poo head.
There's one where like she wants them to be struck by lightning and stuff like that. So
I hope we get struck by lightning.
She gets pretty mean.
Fire deflates.
Pretty mean in a sweet way. But it's rather interesting because I think although culturally, it applies to most people who work shitty jobs, it really, truly digs in on what is shitty about Japan. Like, I'm quite surprised considering it's made in Japan and by a rather large popular company like Sanrio being the people who make Hello Kitty. The fact that they kind of made this is pretty ballsy because it's almost to the point of like hard to watch how unfair it is. It's so brutally honest about Japanese working culture. And I was watching
it works as like commentary.
Yes, it is definitely like
this really sounds like something up my alley. Like it sounds cute, subversive, and
really
are you gonna watch something good, George? Are you finally gonna watch something good?
Well, okay. There's a story behind this one, actually. Is it okay if I give us a little spoiler to a bit of new question section here? Because there's context that I feel that at least one of our listeners will get really giddy about.
Okay.
All right. So do you guys remember when I watched Gamers a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
From an email recommended by a fan. I was talking to some other fans on the Discord after that podcast, and they were like, George, why do you do this?
Why do you frustrate us so?
I'm fulfilling fan requests. And then I posted a little emoji of Bobby Hill wearing sunglasses and smiling. Because, like, I will admit, it's not good, but I enjoy doing it. It's still, like, fun to talk about the weird baby girl that apparently this show's demographic are supposed to idolize as their perfect equal life partner. Anyways, the same person came back and sent an email saying, I just wanted to apologize for suggesting Gamers to you. Cards on the table. Cards on the table. I had only watched a few clips and parts of episode 1 when I sent my original email. After watching it further, I was really hoping you would just ignore my email. Unfortunately,
you sent us an email. Didn't. We're gonna read it out. Like,
Unfortunately, you didn't, and now I may need to unsubscribe the podcast out of pure embarrassment. I hope I haven't, like, embarrassed you too much, my good friend here, Eddie L. Because it's
more
not like
what's more of an embarrassing moment? Recommending gamers to George or serving the Prime Minister of Japan chocolate in a shoe. The vote is out there.
I just want to point out that like we didn't give out Eddie L's last name. You know, we didn't say Eddie L's location. We don't know if Eddie L is a boy or a girl. So and it's not like we included any links to like your old Zanga profile from high school. It's not that embarrassing. We're not showing everyone those weird pictures of like that phase in middle school where you wore tap out shirts from Walmart because you thought they were cool and you listened to Limp Bizkit.
George,
at least
George,
what?
Where is this going?
I just don't want you to feel too bad, Eddie L, because what ended up happening is that you ended up like. Okay, sorry. Let me continue on to read Eddie L's email now that I'm no longer so focused on how embarrassed they must be. I'll leave you guys with one final suggestion of something I've watched a good chunk of, and that is Aggretsuko on Netflix. It's about a red panda who is a Japanese office worker that deals with their stress by singing death metal. I know you probably don't trust my opinion. Oh, that is not true, my friend Eddie L. But Matt from the Super Friends Play also enjoys it. Thanks.
He's redeemed himself.
And here we are.
He's
Liam
redeemed
is
himself.
already on that.
He's done it.
Oh my god.
He's redeemed himself. Unless me and Eddie L have terrible tastes, and then I'm now embarrassed myself.
We'll find out when I catch up to it, I guess. Okay, in which...
Yeah, no, seriously, because I was watching it with my lady friend who has just started her first professional job in Japan as a teacher, and...
I'm sorry.
Some of the similarities, let's say, between what she's been going through with her first month at that job and the sort of abusive power of, like, older Japanese workers who... because of the way hierarchy works in Japan, don't do any work and just shove all the work on like newer people. Watching Aggretsuko for her was like a busman's holiday. It was too real.
It was a release.
it was too real, but it's so brutally honest about a lot of Japanese societal problems. And if you're interested in like, so many people, of course, love Japan for all the wonderful things they bring us, all that soft power stuff, anime, games, and all that kind of stuff. But if you really want to see like what is like a really bad problem in Japan, which is the work culture, you've probably all heard of karoshi, which is the saying that gets batted around for people who work themselves to death in Japan. Aggretsuko really is probably the only thing out there that is honest about what it can be like working for a Japanese company. And it's pretty spot on, as well as being entertaining too. So it's definitely worth watching. And Eddie, I got you back. They called me the devil's advocate.
Well,
Eddie.
Well, I actually was looking at watching that. And
you should give it a try, man. You should give it a try.
I watched Neo Yokio.
Oh.
I was like, let me check this out. Let me see if it's okay. So this episode has a Netflix no chill section, but not a recommendation.
We're doing Neo Yokio.
Wait, that is let me get. This is the one that was made by Jaden Smith, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jaden is...
This is an anime.
He's not a good voice actor. He's not.
This is the one with the Toblerone, right?
Huh?
The Toblerone.
Oh, yeah, there's robots and Toblerones.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, but the pacing is garbage. Like, it just... he's like I watched the first episode. So if people got farther than the first episode, it's good to, you get a star. You get a star next to your name. But it is a mess of like just obvious things that he's not realizing. Like the way the show was just kind of presented in a very dumb way. And I don't know if it's on purpose. Because like the pacing is like really fast and he wants to be the best person in this whole city as well. Yeah, and like at the end he has this whole monologue of like, oh, I am the the first, the number one eligible bachelor in the city, and I, do this and do that. I protect the city with my demon powers. And it's just like, what? Like, how do I explain this trash? Like, he's just, for the first half of the episode, he's depressed because a woman, his girl Kathy, leaves him, right? And he's just, throughout every single conversation, he mentions that Kathy left him. Every single conversation. His auntie says, "Oh, you have to go exorcise this this girl who's possessed," and he was like, "I'm not feeling up to it because Kathy left me. I'm so depressed." Like, he says it like that. Like what? What are you doing? Like, over and over again. You need to go play in this hockey game. His friend wants him to go do this hockey game because he's like the best player, and he's just like, "Oh, I don't feel like doing it because I'm depressed because Kathy left." And he just keeps saying it every conversation, like everyone knows. And it's not funny. It's just
It looks
just
like
boring,
trash.
and it's trash. It's really trash. It ends. You think like, oh, there's something there. There's something goofy about it, but there's nothing redeeming about it. It just kind of ends in a very unsatisfying, not funny to laugh at way.
I feel like that's almost a scam.
Yeah.
Because
I
they
couldn't
market
believe it was a thing.
And when you hear it, when you're like, "Oh my God, this is real," you think it's going to be like the R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet or something. Like, it's going to be a parody series. Like, it's going to be a comedy that's like playing with how bizarre the concept is. But it seems like, granted, I haven't watched an episode all the way through. I have skipped through it. I've skipped through reviews of it. But it seems like the tone of Neo Yokio takes itself awfully straight for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the artwork reminds me of? It reminds me of everyone who used to make like anime-based Newgrounds Flash cartoons back in the day.
Some of them were good. You could see like
some of them looked better.
Real
than
burgeoning
this.
animation talent was starting there, but most of them were kids looking for something to do.
Like, this is like,
the animation is okay. It's not very powerful. Like, if you see like a hit, it doesn't feel as satisfying. They're not using the tricks, the good old tricks, to make it seem.
When your character has pink hair, is black, has purple eyes, and yet he looks so bland, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
He looks so bland.
Yeah.
And his like his white robot friend just looks like a refrigerator.
Instead of looking like a parody or a joke about what Jaden Smith's anime OC would be, he looks like a serious, legit, completely straight attempt at making a Jaden Smith anime OC.
Wow.
He sticks out because of his voice acting. It just sucks. It sucks. And everyone else is like doing a decent job, and he's just like, yeah. Like, just like if he got on the mic after waking up in the morning,
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes before the podcast or something, or recording. Sorry, for 30 minutes before the recording
on a barely working internet connection. I've been able to pick up like half of the syllables so far of this entire podcast.
You're doing a good job, George.
I'm trying my darndest.
It's like you're really here, George, contributing.
What do you mean? I'm totally here, live,
Did he
performing
miss the
for you.
contributing part, do you think, Matt?
Yep. To end off, like, I feel like I might want to watch the second episode.
Oh my God. Is it like that?
Just to see if there's something there.
Watch Aggretsuko instead. Or Megalobox. Or any of the pretty cool
I'm
Hey.
definitely going to watch Red Panda. Definitely.
So
yeah,
well, I want to watch the Red Panda one too, but I'll have you know that last week when my like non-passive, non-video game entertainment playlist included 3 episodes of Bible Man,
oh boy,
and the original what? God, there was some franchise thing that was yeah. No, that was this week. Oh, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. That's coming up later. I'll have you know that amongst all the trash I watched last week, I did actually watch the first episode of Megalobox. I'm catching up slowly.
Wait,
slowly.
whoa. This is like a revelation. What did you just say?
I was sleepy and my internet was bad. And I wanted to giggle and snicker at bullshitting my way through a conversation about a movie I never saw.
But you watched Megalobox.
Yeah, I watched the first episode of Megalobox. And it was fun. I just wish more had happened in that first episode. It seemed a lot slower than how you guys were hyping it up. But maybe that happens at the second.
It picks up pretty fast after that. But the first episode is definitely setting the tone. It's like a tone.
I just
setter.
wonder how this happens, because the first episode of a lot of animes are great. Like the first episode of FLCL sends you on a rollicking roller coaster where you want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
But with Megalobox, you guys are like, dude, George, you gotta watch Megalobox. It's so good. It's so hype. But if the hypeness doesn't start in the second episode, and in the case of JoJo, it doesn't start until the 9th or 10th episode.
JoJo's shonen, though. It's a bit different. Shonen is notorious for doing that.
Is it customary to watch the first 2 episodes the first time you sit down for a series like this, or do you watch
I think it's weird with Megalobox, because Megalobox definitely is something along the lines of setting tone is important in that show. It goes for a lot of panning of the wider city and making sure you're engrossed in sort of the landscape and of what's going on between the divide of the city. And then it gets into the sort of boxing towards the end of the episode. And then you sort of get introduced to, I guess, who is the sort of antagonist of the season, being, what's his name? The cool guy with the blonde hair. I forget his name. But it's definitely tone setting. And then the second one gets into more about what the show is actually going to be about, which is Junk Dog or Joe being a boxer. It's
some hyper high-tech lethal exoskeleton boxing blood sport, and in the first episode you get a bit of that at the very, very end, but you don't really get a lot of I guess explanation of how the sport works until then.
Yeah.
There was, I guess, for a series called Megaloboxing, there was less boxing than I was expecting.
There is a twist around the 4th episode about how it's going to stand out and how he as a character is going to stand out, but you'll find out soon enough. They're only 20-minute episodes. You'll catch up soon enough.
Yeah. I can squeeze that in. I think I can squeeze a couple OL Red Pandas in too.
Well, thank you for listening to Anime Dads. We'll see you again next week.
Maybe you'll be less embarrassed about the animation recommendations you send over.
Well, by next week I'll hopefully have lots of games to talk about, because this weekend I will be in BitSummit checking out all those wonderful brand new indie games from cool people. So
how does BitSummit compare to the scene in like a Western professional game development con, compared to a GDC or a
It's funny you say this, because I was having this exact conversation with someone earlier today about what it is about BitSummit that makes it kind of special. So for anyone who doesn't know, BitSummit is this sort of, I guess, huge now. It's this Japanese indie game festival in Kyoto, the home of Nintendo, home of a lot of the indie studios in Japan. And it's basically everyone who makes indie games comes to Kyoto for one weekend, and you have all these Japanese, it's predominantly focused on Japanese game creators and the indie games they're making. So you see a lot of sort of older guys who used to work on some pretty popular games, like the guy who made Seaman, his sort of new game. There's the guy who did
I know a few of those guys.
Oh, I bet you do. The guy who made Tulip, that weird game about that boy who kisses things that the Game Grumps play. Tulip. Yeah. And just loads of sort of famous Japanese creators. Also, what's his name? The guy who wears the hat. Igarashi-san. Bloodstained and all these guys get to this one place in Kyoto and they demonstrate all the sort of new games they've been playing. And it's this weird show where if you've been to like game conventions or game trade shows before, like E3 or GDC or PAX and all these kind of things, it's mostly about selling what you're making, right? It's about business. It's about getting people to
nothing
play,
personal, kid.
to spread the word, right? It's not a celebration in a sense of video games. Like even PAX now is like, you go to PAX, you demonstrate your game, you get people playing, you get people talking on Twitter, boom, you make some money. Like the Shovel Knight guys, that's how they said they did it, went to PAX, and then all of a sudden Shovel Knight, Kickstarter blew up. It's all about business with those sort of Western focused things. Whereas like BitSummit is this weird thing where no one gives a fuck about that. No one is selling their games. No one is doing anything. It's more about just demonstrating what you've been making. Sort of like everything you've been keeping secret all year is now like for people to play and people to criticize. And predominantly, I think that's because most of the people who actually go are developers. Similar to GDC, you have the Japanese public, like the wider Japanese public play, but almost, I think 50% of the people who go must be like other game creators or people associated with the games industry. So there's like almost like a weird like collective family atmosphere of friends just showing friends what they've been working on.
And that's why I wanted to ask how it compares to a Western professional game development con, because there's a very different atmosphere between certain events of gaming cons, depending on how much of the audience is fans versus how much is developers.
But even with GDC, it's still about business. And even though, BitSummit is now so large that, they have PlayStation there, they have Nintendo there, even though it's meant to be specifically only an indie game festival. And they have, Devolver is there and all these kind of things. It still has this weird atmosphere where the creators of these games stand in front of the TV and they talk to everyone who plays the games. There's like no wall or barrier between them. You ask lots of questions and it's just kind of like a really weirdly positive place. Like everyone's just talking about like game design or what games they've been playing. It's really friendly, and I haven't experienced that in any sort of Western places before. I don't know about you guys, if you've ever been to like a convention that has felt like that. That isn't like people trying to sell you their game. Like people not trying to just get you to demo stuff because they inevitably want you to either talk about it or buy it.
Yeah, I mean...
MomoCon was like... MomoCon is kind of chill, right?
Mm-hmm. The Adult Swim event at the Tabernacle is something I'm thinking of too, but they still are trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not the game itself, then it's media coverage of the game.
I think there's like a little bit of prestige with BitSummit as well because of its location, obviously being in Kyoto, being in the home of Nintendo, and also the inaccessibility of it gives it some sort of mythos. Like, it's this faraway festival in Japan that all the famous video game developers go to. It seems like, wow, it must be this magical experience. And it really is quite a magical experience, but I think that lends to its reputation, let's say, more than everyone goes to PAX. Everyone goes to MagFest or something like that, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
It seems a little more inaccessible, which makes it a little more... Like, once you're there, you feel special. Like, if you're there demonstrating your game, or if you're there sort of relaxing with all these developers, it's a bit more special. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what it feels to have that professional exclusivity, but with a relaxed atmosphere. Because GDC is definitely one of those, but
GDC
not the
is
other.
One of those. Whereas, like, BitSummit, in fairness, BitSummit costs $10 to go.
Oh, that's a lot cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper considering GDC is like $1,000, but which is way more exclusive, I guess. But if you're flying in, it's going to cost you a pretty penny.
Their press side though.
No, that's true.
Hey kids, if you want to go to GDC but don't have a lot of money, go to their press registration website and say you work for Super Bunny Hop, I guess. We'll see how well it goes.
Yeah, like me and Matt are going to try next year, and it's going to be like, so guys, we had 500 applications.
Yeah, never mind. Actually, don't. But yeah, kids, if you want to go to GDC but don't have the money to do what I did and start a new media company within the past year to fill out your application on their website for getting a media pass, and it might work.
Or you could say you work for like Markiplier or something. Just not us. Just don't say us.
Just send them an email.
No, I think Jake Paul might work.
Yeah, you could do
Logan
that
Paul.
too. He's playing like Fortnite and stuff, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's like
He's in
popular
there.
video
Everyone
game
knows him.
media.
For all the best reasons.
Of course. But
All
yeah,
the
so I'm hoping to
Only good publicity.
check out a lot of cool. I've seen some of the previews for some of the stuff that's going on there, and I'm kind of excited because I'm so sick of working on this game I've been working on, this sort of thing, that I'm kind of like, I just want to like release it and let people play it because I'm so sick of it. But then I know I'm gonna go to BitSummit and I'm gonna be feeling inspired, and I'm gonna be like, why did I do that? Why did I release like a half-finished game? But I'm looking forward to it. It's always fun.
No.
If there are any people who listen to podcasts who are going to be there, let me know, and it'll be fun. Which is a good way to segue into actually talking about video games with Mr. George Weidman.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots of Monster Hunter Worlds, I see.
Generations. I'm still at Generations. And like, my God, okay, how do you make progress in this game? I keep killing monsters. I keep doing gathering quests. I keep like unlocking new ones. I keep solving the villagers' problems, but no like story. It's so weird playing a game that does not have an overarching story arc to it. There's no threat. There's no, I guess like, conflict in this world where you have monsters that are like causing villagers problems, and then you have a board of perpetually updating contracts to take care of those monsters, but there aren't like recurring characters that throw up. There's no overarching problem of the world that you're trying to solve here. I'm at the stage of the story that's gone on for 30 hours, I will tell you, at which point throughout all 30 hours, the most pressing problem facing these villagers, giving them reasons to make my contracts that I slay monsters with, is that they want to increase their tourism revenue. That's the problem. That's the story. The villagers want to increase their tourism revenue, so they hire some monster hunters to kill some monsters. And I'm wondering, is this normal? Because like I've seen cutscenes from Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World has cutscenes with characters who have faces that tell you stuff with their mouths.
Oh no, that's definitely a first for the series. That was like one of the biggest selling points for World, was that now we have like a fully fledged single player story that has cutscenes and voice acting.
Well, I've also been told that For You was the story. Like when I was buying the very first Monster Hunter game that I'm trying to get myself into Monster Hunter with, my choices were, do I want the little shitty story of Monster Hunter For You, or do I want the overwhelming breadth of features, characters, locations, and settings of Monster Hunter Generations? So apparently a story is something that's at least a little bit expected. But Generations, there's like,
they're not known for it.
I'm astounded by just like how little there actually is to the story, at least. And how long it must be taking to pick things up. I'm getting in the groove of it. I'm going back and forth of the online modes. I'm figuring out the menus. I'm clicking through them way faster. I'm not having any more of the like mental obfuscation of which kind of reward box shows up in which menu and how the upgrade trees work and all that jazz. I'm micromanaging my Palico's equipped skill sets and armors now, but I'm still not feeling a good motivation. Why? Other than every hour and a half of gameplay, I'll occasionally be fighting a monster that's fun to do battle with.
How are you getting on with the controls?
Oh, I still trip up with them every now and then. That item bar that you have to hold the L trigger and then start pressing face buttons to select an item with is something I don't know if I'll ever fully be able to get used to.
Yeah, you see, you just need to just buy World, George.
Oh, I will, and you just watch, I'll be real good at it, because I have like 30 to 50 hours of experience in Generations.
It does feel like you're playing with 5 fingers missing on the 3DS, and then as soon as you step into
Yes.
World, you gain like an extra limb.
Yeah, I like the tension of the fights. I like how they play. I like how they've invented a system where the combat is more of an endurance challenge than like straight skill or timing. And the like artistry of this whole franchise is just really cute and well done as well. But it really, really, really is a single player MMO. Like the combat's better than a single player MMO would expect, but in terms of like level design and quest design and layout, like it there's a massive amount of fetching to it. There's very little stakes and urgency and character to the world. There's a lot of filler that's meant to be done while you and your friends are talking with each other, listening to podcasts while playing the game. Is your quest objectives will just be something like deliver 10 tropical berries.
Wow.
And I just want to fight monsters. I don't know.
Sounds like I'm not missing anything.
Well, I know that Liam has gotten into Monster Hunter before. I don't know if Matt has, and I'm wondering
I did.
How does my experience compare? Because like I'm somehow sucked into this thing. I find myself playing it a lot. And it's, not like the greatest, happiest game I've ever played ever, but I'm just wondering like if it had as many rough spots trying to get into the franchise when you guys started.
Yeah, it was pretty rough for me.
Yeah, me too.
I would say after you play a few hours, like you're well into the game, you're like, man, this game would be better with people. This game would be better with people.
Yeah, except you can't
junk in
you
between.
can't do the story quests with other people.
Yeah.
They like gate out a lot of the game's content behind the grinding that I don't like. And to be fair, everyone warned me, but it's also got good combat.
Is this because not many people are playing, or
there's like a combination of it. I have not had that much of a problem finding games on the 3DS these days with it, but I
imagine it's still pretty popular.
Like 1 in 6 chance I'll have a problem finding a game. So it's not perfect.
You need to just buy World.
I do, and I will when it comes out on PC. I will.
Why are you waiting for PC though?
Because frame rates. Okay. Fuck! I'm so sorry I have to do this, but I really have to go to the bathroom. 48 minutes. Edit. Out. Bathroom. Okay, I'm gonna run right back. I'm sorry to do this before the break.
I guess this is the break.
I love sushi.
I love Japan, period.
The tea ceremonies. J-Rock! Yeah.
Garuga Mesh!
Oh, yeah.
I love anime.
Yeah. And manga!
And gaming!
DDR. Smiley K.
Hey! Sakura-kan ikimasu!
Don't just talk about it. Check out SakuraCon, April 10 through 12. Check sakuracon.org for all the details.
Hello and welcome back.
Hi.
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 Hi. Just setting the tone for the kid to be strangled or not being strangled.
That was it. You're just jumping right in.
That was it.
You sounded
okay.
Matt,
the thing is,
you sounded almost giddy with excitement at the prospect of
a
wizard child being strangled.
Yeah.
And not just any child, one of the important ones. Okay, so yeah, we're jumping into the news with some very glib discussion about child murder. Okay, let me give a stab at this. In this new Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery free-to-play game for phones, kids will have to pay or wait for their microtransaction electronic arts Hogwarts fun fee to save children from being strangled to death by giant tentacle monsters that kind of hover them in front of their face as they look sad at the camera as little energy prompts appear at the bottom of the screen asking you to pay up to...
I'm looking at this.
Get these kids out of trouble.
What I don't get about this is the kid doesn't die. either way, right? You either just pay or you just
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
wait.
The kid
Like,
just
there's
kind of
no
like
danger.
during the they pause the action scenes, Telltale-esque midway through, asking you for prompts that appear at the bottom of the characters as like being in trouble, covering up most of the screen.
There's just no danger though. The kid just
It's not real danger. It's a video game, and it pulls you right out. It affects the states. It makes you not appreciate how much of a rat race living this fucking life is.
It says
But then it reminds you.
you have to wait 4 minutes in order to your energy to recharge, or you can buy gems. Seriously?
Yeah, the 4 minute, the way the timer works is a little more convoluted than that. It's about every 4 minutes that you get a prompt to ask for energy, and I think every 4 minutes you get 1 point of energy. But as you can see from the comment, the context of the action scenes of the kid getting strangled, freeing that kid takes about five. So that's 20 minutes of waiting. Oh, even more. Yeah, because you got to do different button inputs to get this kid out of the strangling tentacles.
Ton.
So this kid is getting hong fired, and there's meters filling up at the bottom of the screen that have little blue orbs that are your microtransaction currency. And
Why
the kid just kind of like
just
yeah, they like
just get bored.
wait for you to press the button underneath the kid's terrified, eye-popping face to put in your microtransactions. Until then, the kid is just going to be like asphyxiated forever, I guess.
Wow.
Who thought this was a good idea? Who honestly thought this was a good idea?
Okay, so it costs 55 points of energy to save the child from the strangle tangle. You get 1 point of energy every 4 minutes. So you can either have the kid get snuggled by the strangle tangle for 4 minutes of 55 points. That's 210 minutes divided by 60 is 3.5 hours.
Wow.
That kid is gonna be fucking bored. Wait.
So yeah, you're like, imagine what it's like being a kid these days, where you know how you would like sneak the Game Boy with Pokemon into class? I guess nowadays what you do is you sneak a cell phone into class. You occasionally press a button on the screen, and then you wait 3.5 hours until recess, when you can press a couple more buttons on the screen. And then the game makes you wait 3.5 hours again till the bus ride home, where you get like a couple more button prompts on the screen. And there's supposed to be a story in this. It's a adventure game. There's characters who have problems that need to get solved that are more complicated than how do we increase tourism at Hogwarts.
Oh, how
This
is
is
this
bad.
a thing? How is this a thing? Who thought this was a thing? Wow.
Publisher.
Hey, now, can you change your avatar, or is it always?
I think your
dude.
child avatar is customizable.
Is it
Really?
your character?
So it's
I
like
thought it was
really
like a random
dangerously close
character.
to some hentai.
I mean, maybe you can like turn it into a. Maybe you can like increase the size of your child's butt and skirt. I don't know.
It's not made in Japan.
It is not.
Hogwarts mystery. But you wouldn't know it from the scene that's going through the news. Pushing onwards. We have a much more lighthearted news story. Job listing has popped up on Japanese Nintendo site for a level designer that references specifics that include dungeon creation, enemy design, events, and field or map creation. They are also specifying that this job entry is for Zelda. Well, actually, IGN said that the job entry specifies that it's for Zelda. So let's run this through Google Translate of the original primary source and see what comes up, because it's not common for video game companies to specify what franchise the job listing is.
But I do think it is Zelda from what I've skimmed over.
Yeah, I know it happens every now and then, but it's not really standard.
I don't know why people are jumping on this. Like, if you apply for Nintendo, what do you think you're going to be working on?
Between 34,000 and 74,000.
Please do not apply for those currently enrolled in the Nintendo group.
Can you
For
live
some
by
reason-
yourself for 34,000 in Japan?
Say again?
Can you live by yourself with $34,000 a year? Is that doable? Is it different?
No, that's perfectly doable.
So no, they do specify that this is Zelda. I guess, Liam, you can follow the links to the original page, but I Google translated the header of the top words on the job listing, and
It's funny. It's funny actually
goes to
because if I'm
the Legend of
correct
Zelda series designer.
If I'm correct in saying this is actually a similar post to something Nintendo posted a month ago that got forwarded to me about applying for, and then
Ooh, so you heard about it through the grapevine before.
no, but it was changed that it was a sort of short-term contract thing. So I don't know whether they were working on something that they wanted to be done quickly. It was a short-term contract, and now this is popped up as a full-time contract, and the sort of specifications are very similar. So I don't know if something changed or they are two different jobs. It is weird because in Japan, usually when you apply for a company, usually they hire people in April. Japanese companies don't really hire at random times throughout the year. It's always specifically around the time university students graduate, and it's around April each year. They have like huge job recruitment fairs and stuff like that in Japan. And when you apply for a company, most of the time, even like companies like Nintendo, you just get hired and then told what you're going to be doing. You don't get hired because of certain skill sets. Unless you are, someone like Moppin, Ojiro, who made Downwell, who recently got hired by Nintendo. Obviously, he's hired for a very certain specific set of skills that are fit. Usually, you just get hired. So it's quite intriguing to see Nintendo specifically list what they want, like dungeon design, map design, enemy design. I think that must be a first for Nintendo. I'm sure I'm wrong, and there have been certain times before, but uniquely, you just usually get hired by Japanese companies and then told what you're going to be doing.
When I don't know how much are we allowed to talk about Jordan Amaro's career path and like personal stepping stones to working with Nintendo in Japan, and I wonder if he might have ever showed stories of what the job listings looked like that he applied for, if they were like internally shared within these companies or released publicly on the internet, and if they specified
I don't know
franchises.
how Jordan got his role. I don't know specifically how Jordan got his role.
Mm-hmm.
I know he had some help from a dear friend of ours to do his application, but I'm not really sure to the extent of what was being offered by Nintendo or what the job posting was at the time. It was before I'd met Jordan, so I don't know too much. And Jordan's pretty hush-hush about his Nintendo stuff, even for Jordan. So,
if you want to be the next Jordan Amaro, now's your chance.
Well, that's the thing is, if you want to be the next Jordan Amaro and you're going to apply for this job, you need to speak Japanese. Sorry, because reading the post, it says that Japanese is a must. It's a requirement of being able to communicate with the rest of the team, and by Japanese is a requirement, it means you must have basically N1 Japanese qualification. So,
Well,
it's no better time to start.
Stone, son.
No better time to start than now.
If you want to, yes. It's weird that the West picked up, like Western media picked up on this, because this is almost certainly aimed at just a Japanese
person
public.
Yeah, I imagine the Zelda tag is what did it.
I think so, yeah.
So are we cool to move on to the next one, I talk about laws changing like they sometimes do. So this is surprising. This is a tech gaming industry regulation that's going to be pushing out some major changes to how things are done the way we know them from an American agency. Which is, not really been the style for the past 25-ish years. The Federal Trade Commission has decided that those warranty stickers that get put on side of your consoles that are like, warranty ward if you remove this and take it apart and send it in for repairs, actually aren't kosher anymore. They have sent out... I'd really like to read the procedure and arguments and logic behind it, but the news as of now is that they have sent out 6 notices in early April for illegally telling customers that getting third-party repairs will void the warranty on their electronics. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Hyundai, HTC, and Asus are all included, and I'm sure we have all seen these before. You have like an old Nintendo or something, and you want to crack it open to bend the connectors back or dust them off with some alcohol, and you got to break stickers and seals to get in there. And they are apparently going to say that breaking your warranty for breaking those stickers is illegal. I wonder how they're going to try to continue to fight the third-party markets of console modders and crackers and hackers and also purely innocent, legitimate repairmen. Because that's what those stickers are there for. And no one's really liked how crappy the options are with working with a lot of first-party console repair companies. But
I never really got it, because if you take your car to a garage, you're allowed a mechanic to fix your car.
A garage?
A garage?
The age of Gary?
What do you guys say? A garage? Shut up. A mechanic.
Gary Edge? Is it like a faster, easier way to say garbage?
Just because you got English right through Google Translate once. No, you can take your car to a mechanic and your mechanic's allowed to open it up and fix it and shit. Why can't you do that with electronics?
Probably because the cheaper price tag means that there's no expectation of long-term reliability or lasting from this product. Also, for cars, don't repairmen have to be roped into some official partnership program? That's why people don't like American cars so much as Japanese. I mean, I'm not necessarily an expert on cars, right? But the whole problem of proprietary parts is very much one shared by the auto industry as well, isn't it? And John Deere tractors have firmware now that shuts the things down if you don't pay your John Deere tractor fun fee. What? And I think there were also moves to make that kind of thing illegal too. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh my god!
Deere tractor.
Everything's gonna be
DRM.
Blade Runner-esque ID guns that no one can use unless you have specific IDs.
ID tagged weapons.
There's not gonna be a second-hand industry of anything.
So if you go for a psyche pal and then they're like, oh, you're not fit to use a weapon, boom, can't use anything.
Or if you want
branded forever.
Plow your field and make money and food for millions of people, but your tractor's DRM is on the fritz, and you want to take it to some shop in Brazil where they'll break the sticker and unscrew the one DRM control chip that... Yeah, no, I'm not
you have to get a registered
you guys. John Deere tractors have...
No, you have to get a registered John Deere developer to come out and he tries to sell you 50 bits of hardware DLC that connects to the tractor. And...
So yeah, apparently what you do when your John Deere tractor is broken nowadays, since the firmware is making it more difficult to repair traditionally, you install hacked Ukrainian firmware onto your farming tractor.
I can't tell if you're joking.
No, but I'll link you guys to the news article on digitaltrends.com. Vice also did a story on it. Boing Boing did one. Tech Dirt, Motherboard.
Jesus Christ. The
Okay, when
dystopian
crunch time-
future we live in.
It's absolutely a dystopia. When crunch time comes and we break down, chances are we don't have time to wait for a dealership employee to show up and fix it. Nebraska hog farmer Danny Cluth testified to the state legislature. Most of all the new equipment requires a download to fix.
A download for your tractor.
Kevin
What a
Kinney, another
world we
Nebraska
live in.
farmer, says if a farmer bought the tractor, he should be able to do whatever he wants with it. You want to replace a transmission and you take it to an independent mechanic, he can put in the new transmission, but the tractor can't drive out of the shop now. Deere charges $230 plus $130 an hour for a technician to drive out and plug a connector into their USB port to authorize the part change.
Well, I guess it's good news that we can get rid of those warranty void if remove stickers then, because otherwise that would be the video game hell we're gonna live
Don't
in.
get your hopes up, because we're very much living in the apocalypse, and what's actually pretty much probably going to be changing from the results of these legislator rule changes is just a difference of legislation. Instead of the sticker being there, there'll just be a new line in the EULA saying that unauthorized repairs given by third-party resellers without permission from Nintendo void the warranty of your console if you put it in harm's way of being broken, which is the idea. That's the point of this whole trend, is to try to sell customers a service which only exists until you need it. It's very much an insurance scam. You know, the product of a quality Nintendo repair job doesn't exist until hundreds of like angry tickets are going to show up on their counter. It's like a reactionary business decision by design. And
Speaking of
any kind of corporate overrule from either the government or the corporations trying to keep people from repairing their
own shit,
$300
their own
stuff
they've already bought, stuff they own. Ugh.
How difficult it is to do that is a sign of how deep into the cyber dystopia we are.
You never
Like whether or
truly
not
own
it's
something.
from yourself or from someone else.
You can never just buy something and it's yours. There's always someone else who has some claim of ownership to it in some way. And speaking of shady business practices,
VR headsets
Whoa.
could have replaceable parts.
Thought we were going to Nintendo, but okay.
I thought we were, but then George said VR after that, and that just made my
Yeah.
sentence even better.
Let's keep that train from derailing and derail later as we discuss Nintendo's plans for Switch online services.
This is awful.
Are we getting? I don't understand. Are we getting something new with it? Like, is it gonna be?
Well, actually, you can now play the Nintendo Online subscription fun games through NetPlay online. So when you want to load up some Excitebike on your Nintendo Switch Online fun subscription, you can do that with another player on the internet.
No, you're glossing over some news here, George. So, because this is something like, people accuse me of being Nintendo biased quite often, but this, quite rightly, is being critically...
Matt asked if there was something new.
What is NetPlay? I'm still confused. What the hell is NetPlay?
Oh, NetPlay. That's when an emulator pretends that other players on the internet are plugged into controller port number 2 of the game they're emulating.
Yeah.
Wait, so you can play Switch games with what?
So what's happening is Nintendo are bringing out something called the Nintendo Switch Online, where you have to pay a subscription each month to access the online services, even though, of course, we've been playing Mario Kart, Splatoon, ARMS, and all those games for free online already. Now, if you want to continue doing that, you will have to pay. The caveat is, alongside being able to play online and also getting cloud saving, which is kind of cool if you have like a 1,000-hour Breath of the Wild save system you don't want to lose. Instead of the Virtual Console, which I'll get to in a minute, we now get initially 20 games, Nintendo Entertainment System games, so NES games, Again, 20 games that are games like
And they're
Balloon Fight,
NES games.
Dr. Mario, Super Mario Bros. 3, Donkey Kong, Ice Climbers, The Legend of Zelda Mario. All of the staple games you'd expect that everyone has played 50,000 times before, which is a thing on its own. Now you can play some of them 2-player, or they have new 2-player modes with players either locally or online. So these games have been like, these old NES games have been completely reworked to have multiplayer. So for example, you can play like Dr. Mario with someone online, or you can do stuff like The Legend of Zelda, like 2-player.
On another Switch.
On another Switch, or you can have like the 2-player Switch stuff.
Oh, okay, so it's just regular online. I thought you were telling me something incredible.
Like there is the regular online, but also these old NES games that maybe didn't have multiplayer now have like brand new multiplayer modes.
Wait, are you sure about that? Because from the language of the press release, I thought it was more that they were just plugging NetPlay into...
No, I thought there was like they were gonna add like new modes to some old games that allow you to like experience them, like you can play Zelda like 2-player and stuff like that. I thought that was one of the things.
For the first time ever, players will be able to enjoy these classic NES games online. Depending on the game, players can engage in online competitive or cooperative multiplayer. Or take turns controlling the action.
Okay, so that's what they're going to do. So they're going to allow you to pass the controller virtually, and you can watch your friend play from another room. Which is even worse. If they were like making new fun and exciting additions like 2-player Zelda, that would be great. But it seems they're not even doing that, which is what I thought.
You could buy NES Remix for
so
this Wii U.
This is way worse than I thought. And I already
made
thought it was
2
bad,
of them.
because the other news tied to this is that they've killed off the Virtual Console. So there is no more Virtual Console. What we had with the Wii, with the Wii U, and the 3DS is now gone. Being able to play NES games, Super Nintendo games, Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, Game Boy Advance games, DS games, N64 games is all gone. So some people are okay with this system, which is fine. If you're excited about playing, like after a year and a half of waiting, if you're excited about one, playing games that you can already play online for free, now you have to pay for that, or you're excited about playing the same 20 NES games everyone has been getting for free for years, like Balloon Fight and Ice Climber and Donkey Kong and Super Mario Bros., that's fine too. But the fact that this is now replacing Virtual Console, which is by and large one of Nintendo's only online things they've ever done well, which is a library of Nintendo's most famous back-catalogued games. You know, the reason as to why people love Nintendo. Being able to play games like Earthbound, games like Advance Wars, games like Super Mario 64 for pretty low prices on your 3DS or on your Wii U is great. But now that's gone. They're not going to do it for the Switch. They have no plans, as they said in a Kotaku article today, they have no plans to do that. So the problem here is, now we're getting this Netflix-esque subscription service where you pay a subscription, you get 20 games that you can play for free at any time, online and offline. First initial batch of 20 are not exciting at all. I don't know about you guys, but I am very tired.
There's
the same
not many
NES
left.
games always being shown, always Balloon Fight, always Dr. Mario. Yeah, exactly. So that's nothing to get excited about. And these games have had NetPlay added code, which is something I imagine, even if it's rather small, still takes time to develop. Which means to make more, considering there's only 20, means that there will be a longer gap between receiving more. So we've gone from having a library of like thousands of old Nintendo games, being able to play games from, you know, the old Fire Emblem games on Game Boy Advance to Super Mario Land on the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy or whatever, to now having zero choice and only paying for a subscription so we can play 2-player Dr. Mario. online. This is such the backward step and such consumer unfriendly work by Nintendo. They obviously have worked out that they can make more money by forcing people into subscriptions that look like the Virtual Console than actually offering a service where people buy individually for $5.99 games.
I just want Super Mario World. That's all I want.
But you won't get it, Matt.
Actually,
You can't get it. You have to wait.
I just have to wait. I'll just have to wait.
You just have to wait. Whereas if you had a
Actually-
Wii U or you had a 3DS, you can have it right now.
do you have a
No,
working
I do,
any
and I had
literally
one on the Wii U, and I
any
waited a long
literally
time
any
for it.
electronic computing device?
Exactly. But the point is as well, there are so many people out there who will have sold their 3DS or their Wii U already to have a Switch. Because the Wii U, especially considering Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze came out this week, like, the Wii U, by the time Smash Bros. Comes out, is redundant. Every good game that was on that system, apart from the Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei game, will be on Switch already. So it's not even worth having around for that reason. So people will have sold that shit. And the 3DS, people already think the Switch has killed off the 3DS by and large. So not even to add is the fact that Nintendo's accounting system is so bad that once you purchase one game on one console, you can only have it on that console. And if you lose or sell that console, you then have to rebuy it. And now they have a system where they've just completely killed it off. This is like the worst, most backwards shit. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
This is Nintendo.
But they've done so well to get the Switch right. Like, the
Have they, though?
idea.
Have they?
Well, sales figures and continued hype and praise would suggest so.
They're
I
just
like the Switch.
They're like stumbling along. They're like, oh, good idea. Everyone likes it.
I don't think they're stumbling along when they sell like 10 million copies of Mario Odyssey. Like, they are making a lot of
So
money.
you said Mario what? What is that game?
Mario Odyssey sold 10 million copies.
I didn't know that game came out.
I think you've blocked it from your memory, Matt.
Mario Odyssey. Oh yeah, I remember this game.
Paid online console gaming is a scam by companies who pretend that PC companies hadn't figured this shit out like decades ago.
No, because they're so freaking bad at online crap. They're so bad.
They figured it out last time, though. The Miiverse was great. Splatoon worked pretty much as intended. The one problem was that they didn't have a good VoIP protocol.
Even more so though, and now you have to pay for that shit.
Goddamn friend codes are still here.
Exactly. But the worst part is the stuff they got right, which is like knowing that, you know, that shitty fucking t-shirt you see like idiot nerds wear, the one that says classically trained, know your history, that bullshit one with the Nintendo controller. Like, the one thing Nintendo at least knew was their history, and the fact that if they get online wrong, whatever, as long as I can fucking play Mega Man X like on my 3DS, was fine. And the fact that they're not even offering players the choice now in what games they choose, like older games, backward compatible games they choose now, is like, it's ridiculous.
It sounds extra ridiculous
It's
when your
ridiculous.
voice like
This
stretches
is such a
out
shitty
into
system.
robotic into trashiness at the end of your like high-pitched anger.
Nintendo is slowly turning me into a robot.
And George is enjoying the
Liam
roboticness that
devolves
he's hearing
into
on his
like
side.
chip tunes.
If the
Shut up,
audience
George.
is not understanding what is happening.
It still sounds better than the eShop music on Switch, which is non-existent. There's no
That's-
soul on the
that's,
Switch's eShop. Ah! I feel like I've reached my tether. You know when George internally screams and it leaks out as like a wheezy...
Ah!
Yeah.
That's sad.
That's what I've reached.
Because
I've reached the point of
the
exhaustion.
Wii U, I
with
feel
Nintendo,
like the
and they're
personality
online.
was there. The shop had cute music. There was like a cute loading screen mini game. The Mii's were so cute. The Miiverse was so
Yeah.
cute.
You're right. It's just like, just copy it. Like, just copy it.
I went to Miami, all right? And I took my Wii U with Smash, right? Because we're going to play some Smash. And I had to update in order to play Mario Maker. And my God, did that take
Their servers aren't great.
forever
Yeah.
to
Maybe they can use all their
update.
revenue from the online service to pay for better
Holy
servers.
I was like, oh, yeah, that's
The
right.
400
This
megabyte download for the
exists.
Snipper Clips DLC
This
took like
exists.
3.5 hours too. Yeah. Yeah.
No. I'll wait till there's something good and I'll buy Switch Online.
I'm so
Switch
sad.
You want to move to
I'm
questions?
so sad. The Switch was.
Let's do it. Let's jump right in.
I need some positivity.
Oh,
Andy E asks, which do you guys generally prefer? A game that you have a really good opening or an ending? A great opening to get you pulled into the game so that you'll enjoy it for most of the time you play it before you drop it when it gets worse later, or do you want an amazing ending that you worked so hard to get to past the crap to reach that you'll remember fondly for ages?
oh God, they're both crap.
What? How are they both crap? Those are both good things.
You want balance.
I
there.
guess, but
I would rather.
I'd rather have one
If I'm-
than nothing.
I would rather. Oof. I would rather a better ending. Because like, and I would hope that the beginning is not that crap. Like, are we talking about just the story? Are we talking about like everything is bad at the beginning? Like even gameplay? and
Let's say
everything
like
that?
how satisfying the final boss, final level, final cutscenes are.
Let's be honest, if a game is pretty flat in the beginning, you're probably not going to reach the ending anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to choose, because I'm not like YouTuber special boy who gets to play video games day and night as my job, I rarely see the ending of most games. I don't have the time. So I'd rather a really good opening.
Yeah, I wanna feel satisfied by the end. You know, real
Yeah, but
satisfied.
it depends on the type of game, but you're mostly going to be satisfied by getting through it anyway.
Right. That's why I think both of them are terrible. Absolutely terrible. Why would I want to have either one of those? I just won't play it if the game is bad.
I'm with Liam though. I'll play a bad game if it has a good beginning for a while.
Because at least if you're always going to experience a strong opening, because 100%,
I think it's real important to be hooked.
for 100% of the games you play, you will 100% see the opening. Whereas for 100% of the games you play, you may only see 50% of the endings. So I would rather the opening always be good, or most of the games I play have a really strong opening experience that is good and enjoyable and would push me to the end.
Yeah. I don't think I'd get pushed to the end if... Well, I'd get pushed to the end if there was just, like, good systems building up the mid-game, but, like, a strong early game is just so freaking strong. Like that's when you're also going to be at your most immersed because you don't know or haven't seen the game, like, crap itself yet. Like, when you're playing the Far Cry games, the first hour and a half is always great because you don't know how the grind works yet. You don't know how repetitive that action of hunting down the rhinos to strengthen up your wallet is going to be because you don't know that they can just, like, spawn in as mobs that can be honed into with equipment and stuff. The illusion is still there, and that makes a powerful first impression hit doubly, if not more so, harder for me.
A game with a good ending would have to be Legend of Korra by Platinum Games. That game was
that thing everyone else
completely
played.
crap all the way through until the end. and even that was slow. But yeah, yeah. The thing is, I
games-
don't want something hiding. All right, I want to know what this game is about from the beginning, and move on with my life. It's either I play it or I don't. But I definitely wouldn't like to let it fall.
How would you consider
like a wet
Final
noodle.
Fantasy 15, Matt? Where does it fall?
Oh, that's more of a good beginning, or kind of like a mellow beginning to a hard fall. Actually, no. There was an ending scene that I quite liked. There was an ending scene that has nothing to do with the story. I'm talking about after the credits. That scene was good for me, because that was, for me, the only thing I took from the game was the brothers. But like the story, it was gross.
When the night is
Yeah.
gone.
Oh yeah.
How do we feel about Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit, known in other markets?
I enjoyed that when I was young, but maybe I didn't know what I was playing.
How do we care about every David Cage mention on this show?
Well, that's a game that has like a great first 30 minutes, and then an okay next hour, and then all of a sudden, like at the 3-hour mark, the game just like wants to go home. It's too embarrassed to keep going.
Would we consider the Jason opening of Heavy Rain to be like a strong opening?
Oh, I could say that I would not have finished Indigo Prophecy if it weren't for the good first 30 minutes.
But the end is when everything kind of goes nuts. You kind of want to get there.
Yeah.
It's like the end of a Tomb Raider game, you know. Everything goes nuts at the end. And you're like, yeah, this is what I played for. This is what I came for, man.
With Resident Evil, it's like a crapshoot, because the endings for Resident Evil games are always like super rushed, like hyper macho garbage compared to like the slow, delicate, like Hitchcockian exposition play of the first half of Resident Evil. And then in the second half, you just like get thrown into a tunnel with usually 5 of the strongest bad guys, a new ridiculous weapon that you just kind of press buttons to complete the combat with at that point without any of the tension. And it's like, it's a crapshoot if it's going to feel bad or good, depending on how much tension and steam you're blowing off from the rest of the whole game. Like, the ending to RE1, I think is great. The ending to RE4, I think is, like, funny, but a little frustrating to play. The ending of RE5 is like a hip-smackingly hilarious good time.
Well, you know, when you start Resident Evil, you get all the great lines. So, strong openings. I'm going to go with strong openings.
Let's move on to Brayden. Brayden asks, if you're looking for an anime that subverts the common tropes, please check out Evangelion and Mahou Shoujo Madoka Magica. Both are very experimental and very unconventional looks at the genres they belong to. If you want to watch something that feels fresh, that doesn't go down the same repetitive tropes, and you want to watch weird psychological mecha anime and a very weird magical girl anime, please check them out. If anyone out of the Dad and Sons podcast has seen either, I would love to hear their thoughts.
Man, it's been years since I watched Evangelion. Like,
yeah, I'd be surprised if we haven't seen Evangelion. Evangelion is like the anime.
yeah.
I've watched...
It's the Dark Souls of anime.
Supposedly there's like 20 different versions that I missed, and I was just like, I just remember the slowness of that.
Single one of them, Shinji is a bitch.
Yeah, I remember it being really slow. I remember Shinji being really whiny. I remember the like science fiction of it being really cool and fascinating. Yeah. I don't know if I was old enough to pick up on the like experimental genre conversion stuff, because at the time I had only seen like Gundam and Dragon Ball and Tenchi and Sailor Moon.
Visually,
like I had seen more of the back material for Magical Madoka than I had for what Evangelion was supposed to be making fun of. But I think the thing is also that Evangelion is so old, and by being not diversive, but subversive, that it kind of gets grandfathered into the tropes it's supposed to be criticizing, you know?
It's weird because I
Like
don't
how-
know
like how-
if there's been like a resurgence of popularity about Evangelion in previous years, because no one was really talking about it a couple of years back. I think maybe after its initial sort of release in the 90s. But here in Japan, it's like a fucking cultural marvel.
Oh, there's trains that play the theme.
That train, the EVA train, the EVA Shinkansen train, goes past my house once a week. It's a beautiful machine, and it looks pretty damn superb. But the fact that if you go to karaoke with a Japanese person in this country, you are almost guaranteed to sing the opening to this song. Like, at times I don't know what's bigger. Is it Dragon Ball or Evangelion? I don't know.
I also worry that as time goes on, Evangelion is just going to appear more like normal robot anime rather than being a confrontation or criticism or subversion of getting weird about that, because a lot of the characters that it invented as foils to the archetypes, like a whiny young hero, have ended up becoming the archetypes.
Well, it influenced a lot.
And how like the love interest designs were supposed to be super weird and fucked up. Whoops. All anime's love interest stories are super weird and fucked up now, I guess.
I have a question for you, George.
That's
Should I?
nothing I've ever had to confront before.
Should I finish Pillars of Eternity before I play part 2? Because I just really can't get into the combat.
I don't know, because I loved that game and I had no problem finishing it.
Where the hell did that question come from?
I hate pausing. Tell me how to play. Weed Man.
You make a plan when you pause, and then you unpause for a bit to see it play out, and if stuff goes wrong, you pause and readjust. It's like
Did Matt
like
send
like
this in
like
as a
making
listener email?
Yes, I did. You didn't read it, Liam. It was there.
I'm not allowed to read those emails.
But yeah, no. I just want to know because it's coming out today. I mean, it's coming out soon.
Yeah.
You don't know when we record this podcast, and I want something tasty to play.
Wait, Pillars
So,
of Eternity 2's out today. Wait, what?
I don't know how we did get to that topic. I guess because it is release day.
It's
Is
released
it really out
But,
today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
It got
I guess
delayed.
if you want your Pillars of Eternity update. Oh, it got delayed today?
No. I think it was delayed. It was supposed to come out sooner, and then
Yeah, it was
comes out today.
But it's coming out today,
Yeah.
but I've heard like nothing.
Today is the release
Yeah.
day.
Where's, like, the
I saw some
reviews?
interviews.
Yeah, it's coming out, man.
Is it?
You played it too,
Because if
Liam?
they delay it today, that's not a good sign. When
Say again?
Obsidian's interviews were talking about how much easier this one was to make.
Liam,
What did you say, man? I played the first one. Yeah, I didn't finish it, but funnily enough, now I think about it, the person who convinced me to buy it was George's bloody review of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my most popular videos for some
Yeah.
reason.
Well, why didn't you finish it, Liam? What was the cause of that?
Matt, like all good openings, I had no time.
Oh, it wasn't because
I don't know.
Back full circle.
I have come to realize I am both miserable at finishing games, and it's something I'm actually okay with. Interestingly enough, I am okay with playing half of a game a lot of the time. I don't feel
not okay
guilty. I don't feel guilty for leaving a game unfinished. I like trying all kinds of games.
I'm horrible at that kind of guilt.
I feel guilty. Like I'm trying to finish God of War because I know if I don't keep pushing myself to finish it, a game I really do want to finish, I will move on. So I'm trying. I'm trying.
Like-
but
My brain almost wants to start thinking that there's something wrong with the game if I can't finish it. And I know that's not true.
No,
That's just what my brain is trying to
that's
do.
what I used to think. But now I know it's definitely just me. It's just something with me. Like the
I
last
gotta
game I
achieve
really
your
pushed
level
myself.
of enlightenment.
The last game I pushed myself to finish was to win Into the Breach, and that took like a good 20 plus hours. But since then, I've played like quite a numerous amount of games, but I've not finished it. Like, you know, going back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when we started the show, like I got like 12 hours into that game. I'm never gonna finish it. It's just not gonna happen. And I love RPGs, but I find it so
But if
difficult.
you, on the other hand, our humble listener, have made it all the way to the end of this podcast, that
Ta-da!
makes me want to know if we're sounding off on the right note or not. Send us your feedback. We need feedback. We've gotten a lot more negative feedback since last week. That was new, but I feel like we're gonna use it to be
Well, you
better.
just-
We can make do with
You're
this.
just throwing it out there.
Send it to Comcast.
Well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I really got to go to the bathroom from drinking all this coffee to get ready. So let's say our piece.
Before we go, George, you can go. But if you
Okay.
are going to be at BitSummit, if anyone is listening to this, and although it comes out on the time BitSummit is, but if you're at BitSummit, let me know. Let's hang out at BitSummit. Also, if you're interested in small games inspired by Japan, at some point this week, I'm releasing like a demo with, it says demo, but it has a question mark because I don't know if it's ever going to be a finished game or that will just be it.
The music is playing you out, Liam. The music is
Oh
playing you out.
no, no, I'm fading away like Thanos killed me. No, play my game.